There's a sacred weight pressing on their chest every time your name crosses their mind. And lately, it's been crossing their mind like waves against the shore, relentless, rhythmic, impossible to stop. They've convinced themselves that you're meant for someone else. Someone better. Someone who hasn't made the mistakes they've made, who doesn't carry the scars they wear like armor. But here's what the angels whisper in the spaces between your heartbeats. They're wrong. So beautifully, tragically wrong. You weren't placed in their path by accident. Your soul chose this dance before either of you took your first breath. Every conversation that made them feel seen, every laugh that cracked open their carefully guarded heart, every moment of connection that scared them into retreat, it was all orchestrated by forces beyond this earthly plane. They believe they can't have you because they're measuring their worthiness with a broken ruler. They're looking at temporary circumstances through the lens of permanent fear. But the divine doesn't make mistakes, darling. And neither did the universe when it wove your stories together. The angels say this: what's meant for you moves mountains to find you. And mountains are already moving. Their heart is a fortress built from ash and disappointment. Every brick was laid by hands that promised to stay but walked away when the lights dimmed. Every wall was raised by voices that said forever but meant for now. They've been the one left holding pieces of relationships that shattered like glass in their hands. So when you appeared, brilliant, authentic, whole, their first instinct wasn't to reach for you. It was to run. Because how do you trust the sun when you've been living in caves? How do you believe in forever when your forever keeps becoming yesterday? The angels see their fear like storm clouds gathering before rain. They watch this beautiful soul pace around the edges of love, desperately wanting to enter but terrified of what happened the last time they opened the gate. Their heart whispers yes while their mind screams, remember what happened before. But here's what they don't understand yet. You're not everyone who came before. You're not the echo of old pain dressed up in new clothes. You're the answer to prayers they stopped praying, the healing they stopped believing was possible. Their walls aren't meant to keep you out forever. They're meant to come down at exactly the right moment, when they finally realize that protecting themselves from love means protecting themselves from you. And that's a protection they can't afford for much longer. Sweet soul, while they wrestle with demons and dance with doubts, you must not dim your light to make their darkness comfortable. You must not shrink your magic to fit into their fear. The angels are whispering urgently now, your healing doesn't require their brokenness, and your wholeness doesn't depend on their wounds. There's a dangerous beauty in wanting to save someone. It feels noble, sacrificial, holy even. But love isn't about becoming smaller so someone else can feel bigger. It's not about pouring from an empty cup until you're running on fumes and good intentions. Your energy is sacred currency. Every prayer you send their way, every moment you spend wondering if they're thinking of you, every tear that falls for their confusion, it all matters. But it matters most when it comes from overflow, not depletion. The angels say this: tend to your own garden first. Water your own roots. Let your own flowers bloom so wildly that they can't help but notice the paradise you've created within yourself. Because when someone is ready to love you, they won't need you to be less than you are. They'll need you to be exactly who you've always been, magnificent, complete, utterly yourself. Take care of your heart like it's the sacred place it is. Rest when you need rest. Laugh when joy calls your name. Live your life so fully that whether they choose you or not, you're already chosen. You are a mirror made of starlight and truth, and when they look at you, they see everything they've been running from. Every authentic word you speak reflects back their pretense. Every genuine emotion you express shows them how long they've been wearing masks. Every fearless moment of vulnerability makes their armor feel heavy and unnecessary. This is why they can't stay away and why they can't stay close. You're not just someone they're attracted to, you're someone who makes them confront the parts of themselves they've kept locked up in the basement rooms of their soul. When you speak your truth without apology, their lies taste bitter in their mouths. When you love without conditions, their walls feel like prisons. The angels say you're doing something they've never experienced before. You're showing them who they could become. Not by telling them to change, not by pointing out their flaws, but simply by existing in your power. By being authentic when they've learned to perform. By being vulnerable when they've mastered defense. By being open when they've practiced closing. It's terrifying and exhilarating all at once. Like standing at the edge of a cliff knowing that jumping means either flying or falling. But here's what you need to understand. The discomfort they feel isn't about you. It's about the gap between who they are and who they sense they could be with you. You're not too much. You're exactly enough to crack them open to possibility. Something is shifting in the depths of their being. Like ice breaking apart in spring rivers. Like seeds splitting open in dark earth. The angels are celebrating because they can see what you can't yet. The first tender shoots of transformation pushing through the concrete of their resistance. They've started questioning things they used to accept without thought. Old patterns feel uncomfortable now, like clothes that no longer fit. Conversations that once satisfied them leave them hungry for something deeper. People who used to fill their time now feel like shadows compared to the substance they found in you. They catch themselves mid-sentence sometimes, wondering what you would think of their words. They pause before making decisions, hearing an echo of your wisdom in their minds. They're starting to see themselves through different eyes, not the harsh critic they've carried for years, but something gentler, more hopeful. The angels whisper that this is how awakening always begins, with tiny rebellions against old ways of being. A refusal to settle for surface when they've tasted depth. A growing impatience with anything that isn't real, isn't true, isn't worthy of the person they're becoming. You planted seeds in soul soil they thought was barren. Now those seeds are sprouting in ways that surprise even them. They're starting to believe they might deserve something beautiful. They're starting to believe that something beautiful might be you. And that belief is changing everything. They come close enough to feel your warmth, then retreat like waves pulling back from the shore. Close enough to touch the possibility of something real, then disappear into the safety of distance. This isn't cruelty, beautiful soul. This is the ancient dance of fear meeting desire, of old wounds bumping against new hope. The angels observe this pattern as if they're watching someone learn to walk after being confined to bed. Step forward, stumble back. Reach out, pull away. Trust the ground, doubt the ground. It's not personal, it's a process. Their heart desires what their mind hasn't yet learned to accept. Every time they pull back, they're not rejecting you. They're grappling with parts of themselves that whisper, "You're not ready, you'll ruin this," and people like you don't get to keep beautiful things. They retreat to their familiar loneliness not because it feels good, but because it feels safe. But here's what's different now. The distance doesn't bring the relief it once did. The walls don't feel as protective. The isolation that used to feel like shelter now feels like self-imposed exile. Because you've shown them what true connection feels like, and everything else pales in comparison. Each cycle brings them closer to staying. Each retreat teaches them something new about the cost of protection. They're realizing that the risk of loving you might be smaller than the certainty of losing you to their own fears. The tide is turning, even when it seems to be pulling away. Your love flows through their system like a medicine they didn't know they needed. It finds the broken places, the infected wounds, the parts of their heart that haven't seen light in years. And slowly, carefully, it begins to heal what they thought was beyond repair. They feel it happening, and it scares them. This gentleness after so much harshness. This acceptance after so much judgment. This patience after so much rushing and leaving. Your love doesn't demand that they be perfect before they receive it. It doesn't require them to earn their way to worthiness. The angels say this is how divine love works. It meets us where we are, not where we think we should be. And through you, they're experiencing their first taste of love that doesn't come with conditions, timelines, or expiration dates. Love that says, "I see your scars, and I'm not running." Love that says, "I know you're afraid, and I'm still here." They've spent so long believing they were too damaged for anything pure, too broken for anything whole. But your love whispers a different story. It tells them they're not a project to be fixed, but a person to be cherished. Not a problem to be solved, but a heart to be understood. This medicine works slowly, like all real healing does. Some days they resist it, convinced they don't deserve it. Some days they embrace it like someone who is dying of thirst. But it's working, beloved. Cell by cell, breath by breath, your love is teaching their heart to beat differently. There are forces at work here that go beyond what either of you can see. The angels are orchestrating moments, weaving circumstances, and opening doors that seemed permanently locked. This connection wasn't born from chance encounters or random chemistry. It was written in the stars before you both took a breath. Every delay has purpose. Every seeming setback is actually a setup. Every moment that feels like nothing is happening is actually everything falling into place with divine precision. The universe doesn't operate on human timelines, precious soul. It works on perfect timing. They're being prepared for you in ways they don't understand. Old patterns are being dissolved. Ancient fears are being faced. Parts of their heart that were closed are being gently coaxed open. This process can't be rushed. Just like dawn cannot be hurried regardless of how much we long for light. The angels whisper, trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust that what belongs to you cannot pass you by. Every step they take away from you teaches them something they need to know about coming back home to you. Every wall they build gives them practice in tearing walls down. You are not waiting for someone to choose you. You are being positioned for divine alignment. There's a difference between hope and knowing, between wishing and witnessing. What you have with them isn't wishful thinking, it's prophecy unfolding. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Their desire to love you is a living thing inside their chest, pressing against their ribs, begging for release. But vulnerability feels like standing naked in a snowstorm, exposed, defenseless, and certain to be hurt. They've confused being strong with being closed off, confused protection with isolation. The angels see their heart like a bird in a cage with the door wide open, too afraid to fly because the last time it trusted the sky, it fell. They want to reach for you with everything they have, but their hands shake when they lift them. They want to speak words that have been burning in their throat, but fear turns them to ash before they reach their lips. This is the cruelest irony. The very thing they want most, real connection with you, requires the very thing they fear most, letting you see who they truly are. Not the polished version, not the carefully curated self, but the messy, imperfect, gloriously human truth of them. But something is shifting in their willingness to be seen. Your love has created a space safe enough for secrets, gentle enough for shame, and patient enough for fear. They're starting to believe that maybe, possibly, you could handle their truth. Maybe you could love them not despite their imperfections, but including them. The cage door is opening wider each day. The bird is remembering it has wings. And when they finally choose to fly toward you, it will be because they've chosen love over safety, connection over protection, you over their fear. Perfect love drives out fear. 1 John 4 verse 18. This is where faith becomes your superpower, where trust transforms into wisdom. You've done everything love has asked of you. You've been authentic, patient, open, and genuine. You've made space for their fear without feeling responsible for fixing it. You've loved without demanding a different timeline, different choices, or a different version of them. Now comes the sacred act of release. Not giving up, but letting go. Placing this connection in hands bigger than your own, trusting in a love story that's being written by forces that see the whole picture when you can only see a few chapters. The angels communicate this. What's meant for you will find you, choose you, and claim you. Not because you convinced it to, not because you waited long enough or loved hard enough, but because recognition is inevitable when souls are destined to dance together. When the moment is right, when they are ready, when the stars align in ways you can't orchestrate, it will happen with a certainty that needs no explanation. Until then, you live. Fully, wildly, magnificently. You love yourself with the devotion you've been offering to others. You trust that your worth isn't determined by their choice, that your magic isn't diminished by their fear, and that your future isn't held hostage by their healing timeline. You are loved, protected, guided, and supported. Whether this person becomes your love story or your growth story, you are exactly where you need to be. And that, beloved soul, is always enough. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8 verse 28.